Alright, so this video is going to touch on a few things here. First of all, I'm going to discuss my most recent rheumatology visit. It's my 4-month follow-up. I just went a few days ago, and the doctor said it looks like I'm doing pretty good. He didn't say it was aggressive or anything, so it looked like it was positive. I did have some concerns earlier, a few months earlier I should say, where it seemed like the discoloration and such had been going up my legs and my arms. So originally, when I first went in for the original consultation, it would have been around my ankles or so, and around the wrist for the discoloration. It continued. I am still on, a high dose of the medication, but it continued, and I was concerned about it. There's more tightness, unfortunately, happening, so it's not just at the wrist anymore. I don't know if I can show you right now. So if you can see, it's pretty tight here. I can't really grab anything. The hands the same. So this has been where I think where original rheumatology visit was, right in the wrist, and as you can see, it's moving up. I can barely pinch anything. Now up here I can start pinching a little more. And you can still pinch there, and then this is pretty good. So this is what he's saying is, I guess, the drug's working. So be aware that if you have this condition, there's still going to be physical changes occur. I thought if I took the medication that I was going to see a reversal or a stop. That didn't happen. I've read online that it may show softening of the skin. It takes a few months. I don't know if I'm supposed to wait longer than 4 months, or is this just to be expected? He may have seen worse cases, and so even my condition, it's not all that bad. So be aware that changes will still occur to your skin, and that's what it is. Let's look at the hands. The hands are still curved. Now, if I go like this, let's see if I do this way. If I go like this, I have the hardest time putting down my pinky or my little finger. It just doesn't do that. So that's the one that's most affected. The other ones I can actually put down. I can't make a fist, but I can put the other ones down a lot better than that pinky, and some of them are better than others. As you can see, this pointer one is a problem. So I can't actually individually put my fingers down, except for maybe the thumb. The other ones want to come in as well, as you can see. Let me show you doing that. They all want to come down. I think normally you should be able to do it yourself instead of them all coming down, but that's what it is. So, right now, I am pretty much booked with a lot of appointments. That's going to continue to be another 4-month visit in December, I believe. Let's see, about December, for both my pulmonologist to look at the lung and for my rheumatologist to do another 4-month evaluation or a 4-month appointment. Unfortunately, right now, I actually have an infection, as you can see, and currently I'm on antibiotics for that. Be aware of this condition if you have it. At least in my situation, your nails get really hard, and it almost seems like your skin gets thinner, but it's probably likely your nails are so hard that it's very easy to tear through the skin. So for someone who just normally scratches, no problem, they don't have an issue. If someone with this condition scratches and you have what I have, where my nails are very hard, you'll create damage, and it's very easy to get an infection and have it spread, especially if you are on the medication that I'm on, which is an immunosuppressant. So my advice would be to make sure that you always cut your nails, because you're always going to have, or not always, you may have a problem with dry skin. Make sure you keep the lotion on you. Keep that on you with you so that you don't have a problem, but it may eventually happen. So that's what's going on right now. Now, let me tell you about all my doctor visits that I have. When you have this condition, not only do you just have your regular doctor appointment, let's say for this infection, or if you have a dentist appointment, you'll have other preventative, if you will, or other appointments that would deal with, like, of course, pulmonologist, rheumatologist, and then your physical therapy, your occupational therapy. I'm currently in occupational or in physical therapy right now, where they're giving me exercises to help with my hands. And I was told originally that even with the exercises, it may not mean anything because the damage could still continue. Right now, fortunately, I'm actually at a point where I can actually do a little more. Apparently, they've checked me originally, and then they checked me recently, and there's been improvement. I can't see it's a lot of improvement, but there is improvement, and that's a great thing to hear, because it's not funny to keep spending money on your co-payments and just have it watch it go down the drain because there's no improvement at all, and that's a scary thing to think about and think that could actually happen. So, right now they want me to go to PT about every 2 days a week, and right now I'm kind of going 1 day a week because of the way my schedule is. I try to go early in the morning so that I can get it in before I have to go to work. A lot of these appointments, sometimes, depending on who your provider is, they may not be the easiest to schedule, because if you're working with this condition, you got to work it into your schedule, and that can be difficult. And I'll give you an example. Right now, my pulmonologist has got me into a referral for pulmonary rehab. It's for the lungs. And it's supposed to be about 2 months worth of therapy that's going to occur. And that one's going to be 3 days a week. When I went into the original visit, I guess for my orientation, the schedule was, I believe the earliest was 8 a.m. and then it goes all the way towards almost to 5 p.m. As I said, they don't make these appointments for people who are actually working. So right now I'm in the course of requesting or using my PTO in order to make these appointments, and I'm going to use a lot of my PTO. If you have PTO work, be aware you hold on to that as hard as you can, because the appointments are going to be what eats it up. You're not going to be able to have a vacation, or if you do, it'll be a very short one, because you're always going to think, I'm going to need PTO for my appointments if something were to come up. You could actually be going to the hospital. You could actually need to use it for a doctor visit if something were to happen where you have an infection you need to get taken care of quickly. There's a lot of things that you may come up because of the appointments and because of the condition, where it's a good idea to watch that PTO. Don't go on like a huge vacation, come back and have no PTO. Be careful with that. Anyway, since I talked about appointments, if I were to show you my schedule, you would be surprised to see how many appointments I have. I actually recently switched over my phone, and I had to input my appointments by hand because a lot of it didn't switch over. So I did that, and to see a whole list of appointments coming up in the next 2 months was really disheartening to view. Because beforehand, I would have never had that many appointments. You got to get used to having appointments day in and day out. And it's hard to be optimistic about that, because you remember what it used to be like. You weren't so sick. You weren't to the point where you were going every week to some sort of medical appointment because of your condition. So it's hard to see that. It's hard to be positive about that. But if you can, you have to choose to be positive, because you have to be aware that not everyone has the opportunity to go to these kind of appointments and to have access to these things. I'm in a fortunate position where I'm local to a large center and I'm able to get my, rehab, my physical therapy, my pulmonologist, everything in the same city. And that's really good because I've heard from other people that, or at least from some of the phlebotomists I speak to, that there's people who actually fly in, fly out for testing. Can you imagine having to do that? That's hard. So I am grateful that I'm able to do that. I don't like seeing a whole list of appointments that I have, but I had to remember be positive and think about how great it is that I have an opportunity to be local to all these resources that will hopefully prevent, if possible, any further or the rate of deterioration with this condition. I'm hoping that the pulmonary rehab will help me with my breathing. Hopefully I can do better, maybe walk a little more, and hopefully prevent me from going to the hospital. That's what I'm hoping. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm hoping there's a big benefit from it. Let me cross into something else here that's related to appointment. Let's talk about bills. So, with this condition, you had better know your insurance policy very well. The thing is that even if you have good insurance, you can go into debt quickly because of all the co-payments and the co-insurance that you'll owe for each appointment. A lot of times people have an out-of-pocket spend that they need to hit before they can get their insurance to cover a little more of the bills. And it can get very expensive very quickly to go to these appointments once a week or 3 times a week or what have you. And realize you got to pay every time and that bill is always running up. I really wish there was some sort of program or something that would help people with this sort of condition, because that's a huge thing. Co-payments, co-insurance, if you go to the hospital, those all add up very quickly. You could be paying $25, $50, $75, $300, $500, $1,000. You could be paying quite a bit. And you can think that you have really good insurance and realize, oh wow, it's the co-pays that do you in. That's what it is. As for me, when I told my rheumatologist and my physical therapist that I currently work 2 jobs, they were shocked. If you have this condition, you'll know why. Because you can get very tired. At least my condition, or at least in my experience, you can get really tired. And I'm grateful that I'm able to still do that, but it is very hard, and I don't know how long I'll be able to even keep 2 jobs, if not go part-time. That is a possibility for someone with this condition. You are really pushed with your stamina and such, with the fatigue and everything, to continue to work. But there's bills to pay, and you are aware that you need your insurance in order to partake in a lot of these programs. They're supposed to actually assist you from going further into deterioration. So that's a big thing. I'm not sure what else to touch upon. Let me tell you something. I recently went to a hospital and I was there and I had someone, or at least I was aware of someone, let's say that had the same condition that I did. and we both shared a room. This person was much more progressed. Much more. And it was hard to hear how bad this person was. And it's almost like I understand that you can't say each person is going to go the same way. It's different for everyone. But to have an inside look into seeing what my future could be was very difficult. This disease, this condition can really hurt you. From what I heard about this other person, it was really difficult to think that could happen. And the doctor that was attending to them let them know that this is a progressive disease. So what was before, where maybe you've been doing better, doesn't mean that's going to continue on. And I know my doctor, my rheumatologist have been telling me, look, basically it's like don't Google, don't expect the worst. There are different things that can happen to people who have this condition. But to have the luck or the bad luck of having another person as a roommate who had the same condition, what were the odds? That was really difficult because you don't really see people around with this condition. It's pretty rare. Let alone would you ever expect that you'd be in a hospital room with someone with the same condition. Well, I guess I'll end it on that note.